Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for another episode of Let's Talk Travel. I'm trying to get a lot of these episodes out around Labor Day here in the US. That's when a lot of us as American travelers, we think about, hey, I don't have enough trips booked this fall. I'm going to miss something, or Christmas is coming. And instead of giving gifts, can we travel? That's such a wonderful way to experience travel is with people you love and enjoy spending time with. Instead of items that can clutter our homes, why not plan a trip together or go have an experience? So I'm excited to have some friendly faces here that lead different kinds of travel experiences. So I'm going to introduce you to Kristin. Thanks for joining me again, Kristin.
Thank you for having me.
So tell
Uh,
everyone a little bit about yourself, and then I know you've got a Christmas markets tour that I bet is going to be fabulous.
I am so excited about this tour. So my name is Kristen. I am the owner and author of worldonwheelsblog.com. It is a wheelchair accessible travel blog. And part of the blog is when I started organizing small group tours. I am a wheelchair user myself, and I have traveled the world in my chair and with limited mobility and on breathing equipment, and have all sorts of kind of experience. And what I found is that people with disabilities, specifically mobility issues, hate planning travel. It can be so stressful trying to find the right hotel rooms and transportation and things to do. And a lot of the people travel with me are solo travelers. So they just want other people to travel with and enjoy the experience. And so that's why I started organizing my small group tours. It's just to help take the stress out of that. It is for anyone. So whether you're a wheelchair user, a mobility scooter user, a slow walker, or just not disabled at all, everyone is welcome on these tours, and we just have a fabulous time. So the tour I want to talk about today is actually a 2025 Christmas market tour. So I have wanted to do the European Christmas markets forever. I have looked at so many tour options and ways to do it as a wheelchair user, and nothing existed. There was literally nothing out there for people with mobility issues, and so I wanted to change that. And so this tour, it goes to Vienna and Prague. Vienna is supposed to be one of the more accessible cities in Europe, and it is perfect if you love music, if you love Christmas and this European cultures. This is going to be a fabulous tour. So we start off in Vienna and we do a city tour of Vienna. We tour the Vienna Opera House. It is like one of the famous opera houses in Vienna. So we're not actually watching an opera, we're just touring it because it's a very iconic building. And then we are going to do a private Christmas market tour just for our group and see some of the most popular markets in Vienna, which is going to be amazing. And then we are going to see the Lipan. I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize. The Lipan's horses, which are these famous white stallions in Vienna that perform and do a really cool show. We're going to go to Schönbrunn Palace and see the inside of the palace. It has just amazing artwork, and who doesn't love visiting a palace in Europe? So we're going to do that. And then we are going to the famous St. Stephen's Cathedral for a Christmas concert there. So you will have all the feels as we have a wonderful Christmas concert to attend that evening. And then our last day in Vienna, we are going to go listen to the Vienna Boys Choir. And so they perform in church on Sundays, certain times of the year. So it is a church mass. It's more of a musical church mass, though. So if you're not very religious, I don't believe there's a ton of like sermon and that kind of thing. But we're going to hear the Vienna Boys Choir, and then we are going to go to the House of Music. It is a museum that highlights all of the famous composers. If you're familiar with classical music, Vienna was the hub for that. So people like Mozart, Beethoven, Schubert, all these famous composers perform. Some of them even lived in Vienna, because it is what Vienna is to classical music as what Nashville is to country music. So it's kind of like the Mecca for that time period, and it has so much influence. So we're going to learn a little more about classical music in Vienna at the House of Music. And then we will head to Prague. And then Prague, we are going to do some amazing sightseeing tours. We're going to see Prague Castle, the iconic Charles Bridge, the astronomical clock, and the Old Town. We're going to do a little tour of Old Town. We're going to do a tour of the Jewish Quarter and learn about, some of the Jewish history of Prague. We are going to do a Christmas market tour in Prague as well. And then we are going to go out into the countryside and do a little day trip in Prague. So if you want to see a little bit of the Czech Republic countryside, we're going to do a day tour to, forgive this pronunciation, Côte d'Or. I don't speak Hungarian. I apologize if I butchered that, but it's going to be really, really amazing. It is a 9-day trip. So I tried to keep it short but packed full of amazing experiences, balancing culture with the Christmas markets and sightseeing. So if you've never been to these cities, you can experience some of the best things there are to do in these cities and just really enjoy the Christmas markets and have a blast.
That sounds fabulous. Oh my goodness. And you did tell us that it's 9 days, which I think is incredible. A lot of these trips we're not sharing price information, so tell everyone again your website, Kristin, so if people are interested.
worldonwheelsblog.com. I am finalizing pricing right now. Mainly I'm waiting for the hotels to get back to me because they don't always release pricing this far ahead. But it will be in November. It'll start in November 2025 and be 9 days. I expect that right now the tentative start date is November 28th, the day after Thanksgiving. So I know for a lot of people, if you travel on Thanksgiving, it's actually cheaper flight-wise. So I know the trade-off is you're giving up time with family, but you're also saving money on these amazing flights for this amazing trip. So I was hoping to try to make that as affordable as possible. And yeah, I hope to have pricing later this year and get that released as soon as possible. So you can sign up to my newsletter at the website, and that way you'll be the first to know when pricing is released and when you can book.
Yeah, I think
definitely want to check that out. You had me at Lipizzaner Stallions. I love the Lipizzaner horses.
Oh, really?
So that and Christmas markets, those are.
Oh, I know. So, were there other questions you had, Darcie, for Kristin that would help listeners?
So, I know you do these as a group, obviously, as we all do. But if there are certain things that you just, on one day, you're just really not interested in that particular thing, can we wander on our own, or is that not a good thing to be doing?
No, that's certainly an option. I know for a lot of my readers, like energy levels change as well. So like if you have chronic fatigue, for example, your energy may just not be up to a certain activity that day. So you can certainly do what you feel comfortable with. The pricing of the tour does include all the activities, and that's based on the size of the group. So this group will have 10 people, so it's relatively small. So there's not a refund for a specific activity if you choose not to participate, but if you're just feeling like I need a rest day or I want to see something that's not on the itinerary, that's certainly an option. I know I tried to include some of the highlights, but I also tried to include some downtime, especially on that last day in Vienna. We only have 2 activities planned, because that way, if someone wanted to go back to one of the Christmas markets, or if they wanted to go see one of the other sites in Vienna, they could do that.
actually have a couple of people that I want to refer this tour to. So I will, I definitely want your information because I have a couple of friends and me that might want to go on that tour. That just sounds fabulous to me.
Yeah, and you probably want to get on Kristen's mailing list. So we're going to keep pushing World on Wheels blog because her 2024 trip sold out. Oh, in fact, she has a Switzerland tour in 2025 that's already sold out, and I still have people
Nice.
asking about that.
And
So
it's called, let me write this down, it's called World of Wheels.
World
World
on
on blog.com.
World on Wheels because she's on wheels.
Right, right.
I had a question, Kristen. Talk a little bit about how you do the meals in a group. Do you have set places that you like to generally, because it is nice with a group to dine together?
Yeah, so all the breakfasts are included on the tours. Just to make it easier, breakfast is usually right at the hotel that we're staying at. So for this tour in Vienna, we're all going to be at the same hotel. In Prague, we're going to be at two separate hotels, but they're like a block away from each other, so they're very close to each other, and it'll be split up pretty evenly. And then for lunches and dinners, honestly, when we're about, one of the great places when you're doing a Christmas market tour to get food is at the Christmas markets because there's all this amazing local food. And it varies by each market, right? There's the Glühwein, which is the mulled wine. There's like cider. There's like a mulled cider. There are sausages galore because we're in the, a certain region of Europe. But they also have these like potato pancakes that are fried. They're almost like a hash brown, but they're served with either applesauce or sour cream. In Vienna, there's like a flatbread. It's not really, it's similar to pizza depending on the style you get, but there's like a flatbread. There's a European version of mac and cheese with like fried onions on top that looks amazing. As a mac and cheese lover, I cannot wait to try that. And then of course all the desserts and just food galore. It's relatively cheap at Christmas markets too. But we can certainly get a list of recommended restaurants with a group of 10 and 5 of those being people with, we can accommodate up to 5 wheelchair users or mobility scooter users. Sometimes that makes it a little hard depending on the size of the restaurant, just because you've got mobility devices that can, if the restaurant is small or crowded, it can be hard to get those in. But we always offer, if you want to eat with other people in the group, absolutely. If you prefer some on your own time, depending on your situation, you don't have to eat with a group. It's really a very flexible depending on your needs and your wishes.
That's great. Go ahead, Darcie.
Do you have recommendations on this tour for people with food issues? Like for instance, I can't have any form of wheat or cane sugar. I'm not supposed to have dairy, but I cheat on that one. So it's the only, it doesn't make me sick. Wheat and cane sugar make me really sick. So and in that part of the world, I don't know, because everything is either sweets or wheat, and I don't know about how to get food that I can eat.
So what I do is I actually don't run the tours, I organize them. So I work with accessible travel agencies in the destination for visiting, and I will absolutely ask them for recommendations and how to convey food allergies, because I know with the language barrier, that's also a concern. My best friend has severe food allergies to gluten, to dairy, and to nuts. So I absolutely understand the need to have safe food for people. And so I will absolutely ask those agencies to make recommendations on the best dishes to order, the best places to go, and how to communicate those needs and those allergies to try to make it as safe as possible for everyone.
Great.
Yeah, the other thing, Darcie, too, and I know we've chatted about this on some of the other travel videos. I think I had one where we specifically addressed is like like go onto Google Translate and write, have it in the language of what your allergies
Right.
are. So when you get to the restaurant, a lot of times if you need, just communicate directly with the staff and just, right away before when you're ordering they can direct you. I was just in Munich in June and I found Germany, especially at the breakfast. I know Kristin indicated how generally they have breakfast at the hotel because it's just generally easier for groups, and I was
Right.
in a group and they had like sections of non-dairy milks, a whole section of non-dairy yogurts, and like plant-based, vegan. And so I was noticing a lot of the hotels were getting a little bit more, they're aware that travelers have
Right.
these issues. So,
Well, and that was what I was thinking about as far as when you were taking the translation was, that's what I was about to say, was like, because I've seen that before. When I went on that cruise a couple of years ago, I thought I might be on my own a couple of times in Italy and Portugal, and I thought, how am I going to eat?
yeah.
Because I
No,
don't speak
it's
the language. So
right.
yeah, I would, if I were to go on another trip or go on this one, I would definitely type out, okay, I cannot eat this. What do you recommend that I eat in whichever language I would be
Yeah.
going to, in the places I'm going to? But that just sounds like a fabulous tour, Kristin. I'm like, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, right. And I think that she's right. Like, setting it up to fly out of the States, like, moving your Thanksgiving slightly because flights are super cheap on Thanksgiving Day. So, oh,
Yeah.
and where do you know yet, Kristin, where the trip is going to start, the starting city?
Yeah, so we start in Vienna and then we will fly home out of Prague.
Oh, okay, great. That's good to know.
So do you get people starting from the US as a group, or do we just go to Vienna and meet as a group there?
So what I will do and what I've done on trips I've organized in the past is kind of give everyone like an idea of when normally flights arrive or when they should arrive. It's harder to meet up in the US because everyone's coming from so many different areas. Sometimes
Right.
it works out, and what I've done before is I've shared my flight plan. So if someone's, for example, a nervous flyer or just would feel more comfortable traveling with someone from the group, then I pass on that information so that you can kind of try to sync up if you want. But otherwise, we will meet in Vienna. I will give instructions on exactly where to meet because airport transfers are always included in my tours. So that way we don't have to worry about how am I going to get from the airport to the hotel, any of that information. All of the transportation is always included in my tours. For the activities, for the airport stuff, I try to make it as stress-free as possible. And that way people have guidance on when should I arrive, when is the rest of the group arriving, when should my departing flight be, because usually you have to get to the airport 3 hours before an international flight. So, what should that look like? And yeah, I provide guidance on all of that. Sorry about my phone.
No, it's okay.
Well, for me, I like to try to travel over holidays because it gives me extra days off.
Right, right.
So I would probably go early, and so that I would actually be there on Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving and before the tour. So do you ever set up people? I mean, can the group, we connect with each other beforehand and say, hey, I'm planning on going early, so anybody want to join me? for an extra couple of days on our own.
Yeah, so I set up a Facebook group for all my group trips,
Nice.
and usually do Zoom meetings too, so we can meet like face to face virtually, and have opportunities to discuss. I use a travel agent to actually book the trip for us, so that if you want to go ahead a few days early, you can talk to the travel agent. They can make you set up at the hotel, so that way you don't have to move hotels once you get there. The only thing that isn't included if you do that with the airport transfers, because it'd be hard for that. But yeah, I absolutely try to make opportunities for people to get to know each other. I also am always available for questions. So a lot of the groups that I've organized so far, I've had a mix of people. Some are very well seasoned travelers and just want to be with a group for the camaraderie, or because they really like the trip or the itinerary. I also have quite a few new travelers that are a little overwhelmed, and that's why they like the idea of a group for that support and that information. I have solo travelers. I have people that travel with friends or with family members. So I have a wide variety, but I'm always there for people who have questions about flying with mobility equipment, because that can be a very scary process if you're not used to that, or if you have questions. I am there for packing tips. In the Facebook group, I try to give videos or information resources on how to tell if you're buying local or if you're buying mass produced, as some of the Christmas markets are not always local. So how can you tell the difference with that? What are the popular foods that you're going to find at Christmas markets? Do you need cash at the Christmas markets, or can you use credit cards? All of those questions and information. I want people to be as prepared as possible so they can have the best time.
Great.
Sounds good. Thanks, Kristin.
Definitely. I'm definitely going to put these on my Facebook, my professional page and my personal page, because I think there's a lot of my friends and even some of my clients that would be interested in your way of doing tours, and the fact that you really cater to people that don't normally get to go on tours. I do that on a very limited basis, but I only do Oregon and Washington. So, but that I'm just so impressed.
Great.
This is just fabulous.
All right. Well, let's move along since we're kind of tight on time. So, Darcie, would you like to share about your ghost tours that you're offering?
Oh yes. As I just said, I am in Oregon. I only do my tours in Oregon and Washington. I started working at a local history museum when I was 19 years old. I did that for about 15 years. And our museum was known to have a few leftover people that weren't quite alive. And when I worked at the museum, we had a lot of different events that we coordinated with the other museums. There are 5 houses in Oregon City that are historic homes built mostly in 1845 to 47, and one built in 1906. All of them have spirits, and we all work together. So I knew all the people that worked in all the different museums, all the different docents, and I got all of the really good stories from the museums. So the last 2 weeks of October, just in time for Halloween, I do ghost walk tours in the evenings, and they are about 2.5 hours long. It's the only tour that I allow children on. You have to be 10 or up because it is kind of a long walk. It's a long evening. And we start with a treat and a drink at a locally owned chocolate place. She does exquisite chocolates. She also has her own ghost story. Her particular place has been a bakery for over 75 years.
Oh, wow.
And she believes that one of the former bakers didn't want to go away. So she has her own little ghost story. There are several news stories that I've gotten in downtown Oregon City from business owners, things that have happened in their businesses. And then we walk up the hill. We take the elevator, which is a vertical street. The Oregon City elevator is actually a vertical street. There's only, I believe, 2 of them in the world,
Wow,
and
yeah.
ours is one of them. And we walk the neighborhood. One of the houses, they're right on a corner. It's a pair of brothers that absolutely love Halloween, and they really go all out on Halloween. So we go up there, which is a lot of fun. We walk through the neighborhoods, all these old homes built in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and we kind of look in the dark windows to see if there's anything that should not be there. And then we come back around and we stop at the museums, peek in the doors. I tell stories about the spirits that have been at in the different museums. Each one has a different story. And then we end up at the McLaughlin House and the Barclay House, which are next door to each other. And the McLaughlin House is where I did my tours. And I have a lot of stories about those 2 houses. It's just, there's a lot of supernatural activity there. We've had ghost hunters and all kinds of those different shows. I don't watch those shows, so I don't know what the names of any of them, but different types of paranormal groups have come to the McLaughlin House into Oregon City because it's such an old city. The first American city west of the Rocky Mountains, and of course the Native Americans were there long before that. And the last story that I tell, as we're walking along the promenade, which at night the promenade that overlooks the downtown Oregon City is a little creepy all on its own. So, but there's a couple of stories that I tell that are out there as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's something that pretty much anyone can do because, and it's all paved, or we have the elevator. So actually people with the mobility issues, if they have a walker, not a walker, but a scooter, they could actually go on this tour because we don't go in any of the building. It's all outside. So you have to make sure you're wearing comfortable walking shoes and dressed for whatever the Oregon weather happens to be. We haven't been rained on too many times. I think once in all this time we were rained on, but you never know what you're going to see on one of these tours besides the spirits. We had a fireball one year. It was so loud you could hear it. It was really close. You could hear it crackling.
My gosh. Oh, wow.
Really freaky. We're like, what was that? So you just never know what's going to happen. We may be visited by some extra guests. So that's the ghost tour.
Great. So about how many people do you have on the tour? Do you limit the number of people?
I do. I limit the ghost walks to 15 people. That way I don't have to yell. It seems kind of odd to be talking really loud when you're on a ghost walk tour because you want to sneak up on them. You don't want them to know we're coming so that maybe we can see them. So yeah, it's about 15 people, and they can pay online, or they can call me and pay over the phone, or they can just bring cash with them at the event. For this year, 2024, it will be $35. That includes the ghost walk tour, the guide, that'd be me, and the treat. You get a really yummy treat from the chocolate shop and a hot drink. So it's a real fun little event. It's a good way to introduce people to my tour company, as well as a good way to introduce people to Oregon City, historic Oregon City. And I always encourage them to come back during the day to see these museums, because I have to count. Four of the places we go to, they're all actual museums, so they're open to the public, and I always encourage people to go back during the day to get a little history. It's the tour itself is a little history, a little ghost walk. It's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorites. I really enjoy doing it. you get some exercise, get some fresh air,
Yeah.
get a
So
few spooks.
Oregon City, for those that may not be familiar, what's the closest, would you say, best airport for people coming to that area?
Portland.
Portland? Okay, so
Yeah,
it's not too
PDX.
okay, so it's not too far from
Yeah,
Portland.
it's PDX. It's south of PDX, south of Portland. There's a lot of places outside of Portland, and it's south of Portland, so you could stay in Salem, which would be about an hour away. The Portland metro area is maybe half an hour, 35
Oh,
minutes,
okay.
depending on the traffic. It's a straight shot down 99 east from Portland metro, which is um, they keep changing the names. It's MLK, Martin Luther King Boulevard, becomes 99E, which is McLaughlin Boulevard, which it runs right to Oregon City.
Yeah,
It's just
nice.
a straight shot down there. And if you're going to be coming into town for the Ghost Walk tours, I do a day tour in the same area called Oregon City History, and we visit all those museums during the day and do lunch. We have lunch. We have a lot of, there's another museum there, and we visit all of those and talk a lot about the end of the Oregon Trail and the history of Oregon City.
Sounds great.
That's,
So, questions. Anyone else have questions? Do you have places as you're walking along, if people get a little tired, are there outdoor benches or places just to kind of
there
sit for a
we
minute? Or should people like, I know they have those folding chair things too, because sometimes, when you're on a two
and
hour walk and you're not used to maybe walking that
yeah,
long, some people do, they get just tired and need a place to sit
there
and listen to your story.
yeah, there really at the museums there are some places to sit, but it's actually a neighborhood we're going through.
Okay.
It's not a park. It's actual neighborhood. Some of the places have walls around them, so there are some I've actually sat down and I go, I'm gonna sit down on this wall here. Um, but yeah, if you have one of those
Because they have
walker
those little,
wheelchairs,
well, that or they have those folding
right?
chairs, like
Yeah,
little collapsible that are pretty small.
I normally recommend that people, if you have some issues, if um, you would want to bring one of those chairs. It's really a physical, a little more physical. That's why I suggested if you do have physical mobility issues, you may want to bring a scooter.
Okay, that's a good tip. Good
At
tip.
which time we would have to maybe rearrange the time that we do it a little bit so that the elevator will still be open on the way back down.
Oh.
Otherwise, there's this long flight of stairs. They're little tiny stairs.
Yeah,
It's
those
kind of weird.
are.
Yeah, but it's a little creepy. It's kind of fun to do that with the mobile people because you walk down the stairs and it's a little creepy on itself. It's beautiful during the day, but at night it's a little creepy. You have to go through this tunnel.
So tell everyone how to reach out to you, Darcie, where to sign up for your trip or find out more if they're coming to Oregon City and want to make like a weekend of it in autumn.
Okay, you can contact me at Get Out of Town Tours with an S, Get Out of Town Tours at yahoo.com. You can look me up on Facebook and message me. Again, that's Get Out of Town Tours. The Facebook page is at that little at symbol, Oregon Tour Guide
Oh, nice.
on Facebook. Or you can call me at 503-709-8458 and ask me any questions. And we can, if you're going to come in October is a really nice time to visit Oregon. It may sound counterintuitive, but I like the cool weather. There's birding and ghost tours and activities and history and wine, and there's just a lot going on in Oregon and,
Awesome.
and Washington.
Great. Thank you. So I'm going to share just a little bit quick about my Christmas coastal tour I do in California. It's just a fun women's weekend. It's something I've been doing for quite a long time because I think the holidays as I've gotten older anyways, it's not always filled with, family and activities and stuff. So this is my little treat kind of to myself. And it's kind of that calm. Sometimes we need something that's just treat ourselves, do our own little bit of shopping or, eat a meal that we enjoy and experience it with other. I keep this as a women's only group. We meet at, I fly into Santa Barbara. So Santa Barbara has a direct train from Los Angeles. So if you're in Los Angeles, many of the women I've had join me in the past take the train, which is a lovely ride from LA to Santa Barbara, and I meet everyone in Santa Barbara. There's also an airport in San Luis Obispo, so we can probably arrange for pickup there as well. I keep the group at a max of 8, again, so we can all be in one vehicle. But if you're, want to drive up from one of the cities, drive south from the Bay Area, or, road trip up from LA on your own, we can set that up. I've done that at times too. I generally get a nice hotel where we can all have a gathering place. Or a nice Airbnb. There's some beautiful homes. We stay at one of my favorite coastal cities in Morro Bay, which gives us easy access to a lighted Christmas village. They've kind of taken on the whole German European Christmas market theme, and it's just grown and expanded over the years. It's a nursery that has done this, and they've teamed up with another business, and you walk. They have the little vendor booths, which are all mostly all, I think they've limited to it, I've noticed last year, to just local artisans, painters, wood makers, pottery. So you can get some wonderful gifts there or treat yourself. It's always fun to do that. And as Kristen said, these markets have great eats. I mean, we generally just eat there at the market, and the lights, I have never seen this. I mean, it's just a beautiful place to enjoy all the lighted Christmas decorations or holiday decorations, however you celebrate the holidays in December or winter. It's just beautiful. And the other place I always include is Hearst Castle. So William Randolph Hearst, many of you have heard about, has this castle on the California coast. It's really a mansion, but the location is stunning. And in the month of December, the docents all dress in 1920s attire. They walk you through in the evening. So you can just imagine, I kind of feel like you're stepping back in time as if you're a guest of William Randolph Hearst. And so we do that one of the evenings. We have some wonderful meals. For those that enjoy photography like I do, there's optional time to get up in the morning early at sunrise and go out to the bay. The sea life is amazing. There's otters and birds and the waves and the ocean, and it's actually very quiet here along the California coast. You're kind of away from these metro areas, and it's still this little slice of where it's very much locals. There's a lot less tourists because it's a weekend in December. So it's just a beautiful time to come and enjoy. And the location we're at, if you enjoy painting or writing, it gives you a really great time to connect with that and maybe find that peace before you jump into, like, we got to do this and we got to get these kids things. And for those of us that don't maybe have children, it's really an opportunity to really have fun at the holidays and in December and find joy. And that's what I really enjoy, is connecting with the others. So if you're interested in joining me this year, you can find a little bit more. I usually don't post this one on my website, but reach out to me. My website is yourphototravelguide.com, or you can find me at thetravelcollective.com, or just april@jeffsong.com. So again, thank you, everyone. Ladies, did you have any questions? I guess I kind of covered my trip quick.
Do you have the dates for this year?
I'll probably do it the second weekend. I either do it the first or second weekend of December. I'll probably double check, because sometimes I like to do it. One of the towns does
I might be in Portugal. I forgot.
Yeah, you might be. One of the towns does a lighted boat parade, so I try to view that. And then a couple of the little towns also do like their own little Christmas market where the shops are open late and they serve, hot chocolate and treats. And there's a cookie company up there that I always go to because they're making the cookies right there. So we've done things like do a cookie making class, or go do a little sketching class. It really kind of just varies. So there's time for you to, if you just want to be on your own and meet up with us for meals or do a nature walk. There's a lighthouse that I like to visit. So there's a lot of different things to do and a lot of flexibility too.
And this is a weekend or
Yeah, I
like a
try to,
whole
it's
weekend?
like a 3, 4 day weekend. I usually try to keep it about 3 days because that's about what people can get away from work. Friday,
I'm making
Saturday,
notes.
Sunday. Yeah. I mean, I go a little earlier, so if people want to meet me that extra day early, that's fine, and that works
Yeah.
too.
Well, as you noticed that I perked up when both of you said Christmas markets.
Yeah.
What's the weather actually like?
The weather? That's a great
Yeah.
question. It's generally fairly nice and mild. It's probably like it can be about 60 to 70s during the day. The evenings get a little chilly, and you probably would want a sweater in the evenings near the water, near the coast. A couple times, the last few years, we haven't had any rain, but I wouldn't rule that out. The first couple years, because I've been doing this many years, it has been really raining, and we have had rain jackets to go to the Christmas market. So I always recommend bringing rain gear. And honestly, again, it's flexible. When I finish pricing it out, like Kristen, I do have to include all the tickets and pricing that I've already bought because once I buy the tickets and reserve our Hearst Castle tour and all of that, it's locked in. But if for some reason you're like, you know what, I just want to hang back here in this quiet coastal town and put my feet up and have a glass of wine at the local winery, because there's plenty of really local great places for wine, for music, eating fresh fish, all of that. There's a lot of flexibility, but again, once I pick the price, kind of like Kristen, we've already paid for everyone's ticket,
Yeah,
but we don't force you to go. So
yeah.
good question, Kristen. But it,
Definitely going to have to put both of these on my.
but it can be rainy, which can be great the next morning for sunrise. I mean, we get some beautiful colors that time of year on the coast. One year, California was having the wildfires a bit inland, and we were a little concerned, but good or bad, that smoke creates that pink, that beautiful colors too. So it's just an amazing time. The animals are really active. The elephant seals have started to come to the beach. They aren't quite having babies yet. Like sometimes I see a baby or two, but for the most part, they're just starting to come to the beach. We have witnessed some whales fairly close offshore still migrating, but the sea otters, there's a little group of sea otters that have kind of made this bay their home, and they're incredible to watch. So a
The
lot of
great the
wildlife.
gray whales should be migrating about that time of year. They're heading down to Baja.
Yeah, and then Hearst Castle too. He used to keep a whole zoo up there, and there's a herd of zebras that still roam the property. And I can't promise, as I always tell people with wildlife, it's a random thing, but we have seen the zebras come down close to Highway 1 inside the fence, and it's just amazing to all of a sudden look over and see a zebra on the California coast. You just don't even expect it, So
That would be a little odd, yes.
yes, but they are still there on his property and they are protected. So,
Interesting.
yeah, great question. Thanks,
I
Chris.
want to go on. I want to go on both of your tours. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Kristen? I interrupted.
Oh, that's okay. I just said it sounds fantastic.
It does.
Thank you so much. Well, let's wrap this up for today. One more time, Kristen, your website.
WorldOnWheelsBlog.com.
Perfect. Thank you. Darcie, one last time.
Get Out of Town Tours on Facebook or Get Out of Town Tours at yahoo.com to reach me.
Perfect. Yes. And I'm the Travel Collective or yourphototravelguide.com. Don't ask me why I picked such a long name. So thanks
No.
everyone. And if you're catching this through the newsletter, please subscribe because there'll be quite a few more episodes. And thank you so much. Take care, everyone.
Bye.